So hopefully that's what I'll be moving into after all this craziness, graduating into this uncertain world. Yeah, I don't know. I honestly don't know. Good question. Could potentially end in you getting the job or you not getting the job. I would definitely recommend it. Definitely. Hi everybody and welcome back to my channel. Today I've got my cup of tea here because it's going to be a chatty one. We're doing a future Q&A, so I headed over to my Instagram and you guys sent through so many questions, so thank you. But if you do want to be involved in like a future Q&A that I have coming up, make sure you're following me over on Instagram because that's where I ask you guys and you guys get involved. But I just asked generally about like post-grad life, about careers, relationships, and you guys came through. So today I'm just going to be answering a few questions all about the future, I guess, and what that's going to look like for me, or what I hope that's going to look like for me, and just answering some of your guys' questions. So the first question is, would you graduate early or would you take the internship and study for an extra year? Now I actually have a whole video coming out about this because if you didn't know, I chose to do an internship. So my university, the University of Greenwich, internship gap year, placement year, was optional, so you could just do the 3 years, graduate, or you could do year 1 and 2, do an internship and then go into year 3, which is what I chose to do. And I would definitely say to take a year out and do a gap year for an internship or a placement. I think the knowledge you gain from that is just invaluable. You have so many good networking opportunities, so many good contacts, which hopefully can get your foot in a door somewhere, moving into like graduate positions and graduate roles, and also like the work experience you gain is like no other. Like that's going to look so good on your CV, but it's also a great opportunity for you to test out the water, see if you like it, see if maybe you would prefer a different kind of avenue, whether there's a part of that industry that you didn't even know about, and just kind of make some mistakes and figure it out knowing that you are fully prepared going into your graduate role. I freaking loved my placement, which I was very lucky for. It was paid, I got everything out of it that I wanted, which was really great, but I was very open with the company about what I wanted and what they were able to give me, which worked really well in my favour. So yeah, I would definitely recommend it. Definitely. The next question is, which job do you wish to have in the future? Now this is always really tricky for me because events management is a huge industry, but I think short term I would like to be an event executive for a corporate company, and what that basically means is I would see the event from like conception, so like from the event idea to like the invitations to the catering to the venue, everything like that. I'd see the whole thing. I'd be there on the day to like see the event through and see it come to life and people enjoy my event that I've put together, and then I would do all of the end of it as well, so do like return on investment reports and just things like that, just weigh up whether it was good, what I could have done better, things like that, and do it over and over again as an executive position, because that's kind of where you start, executive assistant, the words kind of interchange, and then I would grow and develop into an event manager doing that same thing. And I prefer the corporate side because usually there's a bigger budget, just being honest, so you get to have a bit more fun with it, you get to play around with the event, and it's really good fun. And it's just, I feel with corporate events everyone kind of knows what they're doing because usually it's not their first time planning an event, whereas when you're planning a wedding or a birthday party or like a celebratory dinner, maybe for an anniversary or something, which I have done in my placement, your client needs a lot of hand holding, they need a lot of information and recommendations and things like that, which I'm obviously more than happy to give, but it just takes a lot more time for not as much money. So I think you have to kind of weigh the pros and cons, I guess, but I really like being in an office setting. I like the corporate surrounding, so I think that suits me really well. So hopefully that's what I'll be moving into after all this craziness is over and the events industry pieces itself back together. The next question isn't really a question, but it says the next steps into your career, what type of jobs you are looking for, position examples. So I kind of touched on that already. In terms of my next steps, I'm really just looking at applying for jobs right now. I did very nearly secure a job before lockdown, but obviously lockdown changed a lot of things. COVID came, no one knew what was going to happen or what to expect at the end of that, so that kind of got put on hold. So that could still be a possibility, but for now I'm still applying for jobs, and they tend to be like event producer, event executive and event assistant. They're kind of the 3 roles that I'm going for because they tend to be a lot more, I don't know what the word is, a lot more like behind the scenes, like behind the computer and things in an office setting, rather than there on the day doing all the operational side of it. It's kind of more of like the theoretical side of the event, which I prefer personally. So they're kind of the titles I'm looking for. I'm not super specific about what company or anything like that. I'm just seeing what seems good, what works, what the job description says, whether it fits in with what I want to do, because there's so many companies in London and ones I haven't even heard of, so I don't want to be super picky with that, especially during this uncertain time. I want to kind of keep as many doors as I can open. So that will be the next step for me. I'll then hopefully get into an executive or an assistant role, and then build my way up to event manager, and then who really knows after that. You can go off into so many things, like maybe I'll become a PA, maybe I'll become, I don't know, I honestly don't know. It's endless. It's always hard though, because I think doing event management whilst pregnant and having kids and all of that kind of family life will be quite tricky, because events is very hardcore, it's very stressful and quite intense. So we'll have to see how that goes. That's why I'm still a little bit iffy on that little part. Graduating into this uncertain world, yeah. It's definitely uncertain, definitely not something I pictured. I imagined graduating with all my friends, I imagined like celebrating with my family and all of that, which I graduated on, oh gosh, April 20th, I think. So it's been nearly a month, very nearly a month, maybe it has been a month by the time you're watching this. So yeah, I don't know, it was a weird one. It felt bittersweet, because obviously I finished university, which was huge. I'd been there for 4 years, it was very difficult, and I was so proud of myself. So not being able to celebrate that with everyone was a little bit bittersweet, and obviously not celebrating with my friends or handing in our assignments together or anything like that was quite hard, especially because I'm one of those people that likes to visualize what it's going to look like. When that doesn't happen, I can get a bit disheartened. But in terms of going into a career, yeah, it's very uncertain. Like I said, the events industry is really taking a hit right now. No one's going to events. All the festivals, conferences, everything like that has been cancelled and postponed. Even weddings, it's just like, it's not happening right now. So I'm not too worried about it, simply because I'm living in London, and I think London is the hub for events in the UK pretty much. Like, there are so many opportunities, so many companies that will want to have summer parties and Christmas parties and things once everything is back to normal. So I'm not too stressed about it right now, and I'm just trying to keep positive. I'm just trying to look on the bright side. I'm very privileged. I'm in a very privileged position, in the sense like I had a student loan that's going to cover me for a little while, so I don't have any like financial struggles. My rent here is very cheap. I'm living with my boyfriend and my flatmate, so I have people to help me out. My parents are willing to help me out if needed. I haven't needed it yet, which I'm so thankful to be able to like sustain myself and not have to rely on them, because they've already done so much for me. But I have a support group, basically, is what I'm saying. So I'm not, yeah, I'm in a place of privilege. I'm not too stressed, worried, concerned, anxious. I'm just playing it by ear for now, and I feel like that's all we really can do. Like I said, I'm keeping positive, I'm keeping looking at jobs, I'm applying for any jobs that do seem appropriate, I'm getting in touch with people from my old job and things like that. So I'm being proactive, doing everything I can, and I'm just waiting for now, which I think is all we really can do, but trying to keep a positive mindset. What was your post-grad plan before the virus came along? Good question. Like I said, I am a person who likes to visualise what my future is going to look like, whether that's 10, 20, 30 years time. I like to visualise it quite a bit, fantasise about it, dream about it, all my goals and aspirations. So originally I was going to graduate very early April. I think I was supposed to graduate April 3rd. And I was going to stay in this house. We very recently moved in January. I was going to stay in London. My boyfriend currently works full-time in London, so I was more than happy to stay in London, and I did have a job kind of lined up. I was going to interviews and applying for jobs, but I had one very nearly accept my interview, accept my job, or accept me to fill their position, I guess, which would have been great, and it still might happen, so I don't want to say too much about it, but it was basically a dream. It was with a really good team, really lovely team of girls similar age to me. It was corporate events, it was big budget events. Some of them, they varied in size, they varied in like content and things like that, so it was really, really great. But that was kind of my post-grad plan, and it still is my post-grad plan. I haven't had to change it too much. Like I said, I am pretty privileged right now that I don't have to go out and find another job or rush into anything right now, which I'm so thankful for, and I can't say that enough. But yeah, so my post-grad plan does kind of look similar. It's just been put on hold, and although that's frustrating because I'm not making money, things are getting lower and lower as the days go by, it has forced me to have some time off, which I don't think I would have. I was literally going to go straight from my dissertation deadline into a job, and whether there was an overlap, I was going to do it, but just because I wanted to get a job, I wanted to beat the graduation influx, because I was graduating quite early. I didn't want to have to compete with other graduates come September, which I probably will have to do now, but that's fine. But it gave me a chance to kind of step on the brakes. I've never had a break really. I went from school to secondary school to sixth form to university. I never took any time out, and obviously I haven't been travelling or anything wonderful, but I've been reading some books, I've been watching some shows I like, I've been trying out some new hobbies, I've been sunbathing a lot, and just taking time to be with my boyfriend, to get to know our new flatmates, to just be with each other and, I don't know, just enjoy the slow new pace of life that we're all experiencing right now. So I am very grateful for that, because that has definitely changed my post-grad plan. It made things look a lot different for me, but moving forward, once everything picks back up a little bit more, I think my plan will hopefully look quite similar. What kind of questions interviewers ask to a fresher in events management? Very good question. I've been on 3 or 4 interviews for event management, maybe 5, not loads, but a few, and I find like they genuinely start off just by asking you about your CV, asking you about to explain your experience and the companies you've worked for and what you liked about the role that you were in, things like that, which is great because obviously you know the answers because they're just about you, which is very helpful. But then there are a lot of situational questions. So what would you do if you had a speaker for a conference that got stuck, held up at another train station and wasn't going to make it on time? You then have to say how you would go about it, how would you inform your guests, how would you get that speaker to there, how would you change the program, things like that, just different things you think about, just so that the event manager knows that you're good in a crisis, you're cool-headed, you know how to act, and they'll give you a few different situations. So whether that's someone's going to be late, whether that's your security don't show up, whether that's your waitresses don't show up, whether that's you have a power cut, whether that's the internet goes out, they'll give you all of these like worst case scenarios, and you kind of have to describe how you would go about that. And then usually they'll move on to kind of teamwork questions. So if you saw someone wasn't pulling their weight, how would you respond to that? And you just have to basically be really honest. All they want to know is whether you're going to fit into their company culture and their team, and whether it's going to be a smooth transition for you to enter their company, because who you work with is extremely important and is a large part of any job, and the joy out of any job is your co-workers and your colleagues. So you just want to see how you're going to fit. Obviously you can bluff a little bit. If you said that you would swear at them, maybe don't say that, but maybe just talk about how, you know, you would bring it up with them, check if everything was okay, if they were struggling, whether you could take any time out to help with them, and if you still found that they still weren't doing any work, maybe you could talk informally to your superior and just mention that so and so might need a helping hand or a bit of assistance, or maybe it was a bit overwhelming for that person. Just the way you would respond to it. They just want to know what kind of person you are, what kind of, I don't know, empathy you have, what kind of teammate you are, whether you work well as a team, whether you prefer to work individually, and all those kind of things. So then they have all of those questions, and then it kind of just moves on to them asking questions about how you think you would do in the role, why you want to work for that company, and the more kind of generic questions, which I feel like you get asked in any interview. So yeah, there's obviously a lot, and interviews can range in time. Like I've had ones that have gone on for like an hour or half an hour, but they usually do involve a lot of those questions, and the situational ones are the ones that really matter and are the ones that could potentially end in you getting the job or you not getting the job, depending on how you react and respond to that question. Because when you're in an event, you're in front of a lot of people, a lot of things can go wrong, a lot of things do go wrong, and sometimes you're dealing with very big budgets, so they just need to know about how you're going to figure it out, how you're going to see what works, what doesn't, and how you're going to fix things, resolve things, which is why the work experience here comes in handy, because you've probably had experiences of things going wrong and you can implement those. The next question I love, but it's so hard. It's kind of like a 3-part question. Where do you see yourself in 3, 5 and 10 years professionally speaking? Now, like I said, this is kind of tricky. I think 3 years time I'll still be an event executive. I think I would have got some pay increases and like mini promotions within that, hopefully, but I think I'll still be in that role because I'll be, what, 25, maybe engaged by then. Who knows? I've been with Christian for 5 years now. It's just a little bit scary because I'm still only 22, so 3 years time I'll be 25. That might seem a bit more realistic to have a ring, get engaged, but yeah, potentially that would be my 3-year plan. And then 5 years I'd probably be married by that point, but professionally speaking I think I would have stepped up to an event manager, because what will I be then, 27? So yeah, I feel like that's a good age for an event manager. I would have had enough experience. Hopefully the industry and the world around us has properly resumed by then. Our economy is back to what it was, and people have big budgets again to spend on events, which will be great. So hopefully I'll be an event manager by then. I feel like I would I've built up my skill set and my experience to have achieved and, like, what's the word, earned, I guess, earned that position, hopefully. So that would be my 5-year plan. And then 10 years, I really don't know, because I'll be 32. Crazy, that feels like a lifetime away. I'll be 32, I'll probably be married and hopefully have a child or two. And like I said, events and families and kids really don't go very well together. Don't get me wrong, it's completely possible, and so many women out there do it. I know a woman who owns an event company, like she's the CEO of it, and she has twins, so like completely possible. But I think for me to be the mother that I want to be, I'm not sure how likely it is that I'll still be an event manager in a full-time permanent position. I might have gone part-time, I might have dropped a day a week. I don't think we'll be living in London. I think we'll be back south, I never know, southwest, back southwest, nearer to our families. And I really don't know what I'll be doing. Either I'll have switched out to like a PA, because I think I'd be really good at that, like executive PA to like a CEO for a small company or something. I think that would really suit me. Christian might have his own studio by then. He's a 3D artist, so he could have his own studio by then, and maybe I'd be working for him doing his like behind the scenes admin stuff. Maybe this would have taken off and I'll be doing this full time. Like, we really don't know, but I find that really exciting, the fact that my plan for 10 years time is there in theory. Like, there's a little bit of a framework, but I'm really just leaving it up to the universe and just doing what I love for now and seeing how that pans out in the long run, which I'm really excited for. So yeah, that's kind of my 3, 5 and 10 year plan. I guess it was more just of a little life plan than just professionally, but like I said, I really don't know how this industry and everything is going to evolve after all of this. They are all the questions I have for you. I did want to keep today's videos just a little bit short and sweet, because chatty Q&As, I can ramble on forever, and I just find like around the 18-minute mark tends to be a good number for you guys. So hopefully you have enjoyed this video. If you have, please hit thumbs up, and don't forget to go ahead and follow me over on Instagram if you do want to be involved in my next Q&A and just different video ideas and things like that. That would be really fun to have you over there. But if you have liked this video, hit thumbs up, subscribe down below, because I'm currently posting 3 videos a week, and hopefully I'll see you very soon.